Hello everyone, welcome to Offbeat On Point,
where we're setting realistic expectations for your wedding day. I'm Jen Ross of Jen Ross Photography.
And I'm Daniela Kuntz of Kuntz Photography. Today we're going to talk to you about choosing the right photographer, red flags, real skills, and the right fit. Because not all photographers are created equal, especially when it comes to weddings. Today we're helping you filter out the fluff and find a photographer who's not just talented, but a great fit for your day.
We'll walk you through major red flags to watch out for, what makes a wedding photographer different from someone who just takes pretty portraits, and the important distinctions between hiring a national corporation, a local studio, or the owner themselves.
We will also discuss how to find vendors that match your vibe, what questions to ask during consultations, and why those shiny industry awards might not mean what you think they do.
Whether you're just starting your search or finalizing your shortlist, this episode is packed with practical advice to help you choose a photographer you can truly trust. So, what have you been up to in the last week or so since we've seen each other?
Well, we saw each other last week, but we didn't record.
That's true. Yeah.
There was a lot of drinking involved.
Yeah. I feel like that from everyone. My other podcast I listened to was skipping stuff because of drinking.
Yeah, just those morning headaches and fun. But no, this week I got to go to a really fun vendor event where it wasn't just like a networking event where you eat food and talk about your business and do elevator pitches. We went go-karting at Andretti in Orlando, and it was so much fun. It's just fun to hang out in a no pressure situation. We're not there to sell each other. You're there to have fun with your friends because your vendors, you want to get along with them outside of work too.
Exactly. And you're past that part of, I know your business, I know your pitch, I've worked with you, so let's go have fun.
Let's go have fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you skip all the fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
I also this week went to an amazing concert. I went over to St. Pete and saw Hawthorne Heights and Chiodo. So that was really cool.
Nice.
I lost a shirt in the mosh pit. I bought a shirt. I met the lead singer of Hawthorne Heights. And then I went in the mosh pit and somebody stole my shirt.
That's really lame.
It was.
It's not very...
really cool. It had cats on it.
I remember you sending me the picture.
It had cats on it.
I'm so upset. I was going to steal it.
But I did get the shirt with the alligator on it, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotta love a little swamp puppy.
So I know you went to Magic Games, but what did you do this week?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been to 2 in the last 7 days, and did we win both of them? We won last night. Last night was amazing. Who cares about last week? We made it to the playoffs, baby.
They're on fire.
Go Magic. Play the song.
Go Magic. So thinking about our last time that we recorded, was there anything that we wanted to correct? Because I know there was something that I said that I wanted to fix. So do you want to go first, or?
I do. I love housekeeping. So let's get this housekeeping
clean it up.
Nonsense out of the way. I had said something because, of course, it was our first episode. We probably listened to it 100 times just to be like, I hate my voice, or I said this, or I said that, and we haven't, we're working on the audio and we're figuring out all the things. And, this is only the second time.
And so we're still not doing video.
And we're still not doing video. You would not want to see us right now.
We still don't have an intro.
Sorry. Let me only speak for myself. You would not want to see me right now. But I said something that I'm not proud of, and it was not anything negative. We were going into our history of how we got into photography. And I kind of just flippantly said, I kind of did this internship, and listening back to it, I was like, that's such a disservice to what I actually did, because I said I didn't do the college thing, that I went to college when I was 23. But what I really did was met a pretty well-known band. We were joking about that, and we're like, oh, that's a different episode. But I got connected with their team, and they were a part of Atlantic Records in New York City. And I was able to actually, at Daytona State, before I started going there, got the Dean of Arts and Sciences to create a program for me to get college credit for this internship, because through Daytona State, I was not able to get any credit for that. So it's on their books now. It's a part of the curriculum. If you want to do internships, you can now go to New York City and intern for Atlantic Records or the New York Times, or, whatever crazy publication. Or
so you're saying other students now can do this because you put your foot down and was like, I need credits for this thing.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You started something.
That's why I'm so mad I skipped over and glossed over that.
And the fact that you moved to New York.
Yes.
That to me, at what age were you?
19.
19, moving to New York City.
Yeah, alone,
without your family.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, and it helped that the Dean of Science was this woman who was from New York, so she was like, oh, this is such a great opportunity, we can't let you pass this up. So thank you. wish I could remember her name, but anyway, I didn't want that to go without being said. So Atlantic Records is badass.
It is.
And it was a very cool experience. It feels like a lifetime ago. So do you have any corrections you need to make from last week?
Yeah, I do. I said that I only listened to one podcast, and that is so not correct. I have two favorite podcasts, and my second one is actually a local podcast. They've been on for 2 years. They just finished their last episode. I think they have 82 episodes, and it's called The Wedding Sassholes. So if there are any wedding vendors out there listening right now, this podcast is amazing. It helps you with your business. There's just so many great episodes. It's put on by Shannon Tarrant of Wedding Venue Map and Vanessa Negrone from Sweet Miss V's. She does cake. Oh, such
Love
good
both
cakes.
of them.
But yeah, and they just wrapped up. So I thought it was really cool that we were starting right as they were wrapping up. So it's like passing the torch. So there's still a wedding podcast going on in the Central Florida area.
I do love that. And also 82 episodes. What are they, like an NBA podcast? Did they record every time the Magic played a game? I'm just kidding.
It was their season.
If Michael listens to that, he'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hi,
so
Michael.
yeah, they just wrapped up. So please listen to them, because even though they stopped recording, it still helps them if you listen. It helps them if you save it, favorite it, subscribe to them, share it, send it to a person. So yeah, take a listen.
Yeah, it doesn't make the information they already put out there any less valuable. So
Exactly. And then you can go back and like re-listen to the ones that really hit home, that like really help you get through this stuff.
Yeah.
Being a business owner, because it's hard.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So are you ready to get into the topics at hand?
Topics.
The
Who's
topics.
going first? Who
I
wants to
don't
take
know.
red flags?
Well, there's a lot of different points under red flags, so you can start if you want.
I was looking for beige flags, but I guess we don't have those anymore.
Well, we both can't find the green ones.
No, nope, I'm colorblind.
And I'm a Taurus, so I run towards red.
Yeah, you just are like. All right, so we've got a list of things that we think are red flags when you are looking for the right photographer. The first one we want to talk about is having multiple camera bodies. Without, me getting into it, why do you think that would be?
Well, one, even if they're just shooting with one camera body, it's always good to have a backup, because technology glitches. And I don't care if you have the newest thing off of the line, something can go wrong, and something will go wrong. Mm-hmm. I've had tons of glitches. I personally use 2 camera bodies while I'm shooting. And the reason for that is because I can have a wide angle lens and a zoom lens, like a long lens, at the same time without having to take time to switch my lenses. And on a wedding day, time is the most important thing that you have. Like, if you put something behind 5 minutes, it can compound. So I don't ever want to be the reason why we're running late. So
Right.
I just try to make things as simple and easy as possible. So I shoot with 2 camera bodies on me, but I also have extra equipment as well in case something that fails.
Yeah.
I have backups for backups.
Yeah. I now
So-
carry a mini screwdriver kit in my bag because lenses go loose and
Yeah.
they stop focusing.
You never know what's going to
It's-
happen. And one thing I really want to say right away, too, is never feel stupid for asking questions. And if a photographer makes you feel stupid for asking them that, then they're not the right photographer for you.
Right.
You can ask me all of these questions and I will not be offended. You can ask me how many camera bodies I have or what lenses I have, and you might not know all the details of what that actually means, but I'm not going to be offended if you ask me.
Yeah, because I don't want to ever have a client run across a photographer that's like, well, I only shoot with one body. And the client goes, well, what happens when that breaks on my wedding day?
Yeah.
Like, do you switch to an iPhone?
Well, I've also had people be like, oh, I could shoot a whole wedding on a 50 millimeter lens. Yeah, you can, but where's the variety in that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, that seems shady to me.
Well, and also imagine if you're on the beach and you have one body and you need to switch to your telephoto lens because the couple's walking down a really long path and
you get sand in it.
There's sand and dust
sand.
and it gets moldy if you don't clean it
Yeah.
and it'll rust if you're on the beach a lot. And we're in Florida, so we have to think about stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
so multiple camera bodies for sure. What are your thoughts on the newer camera bodies have 2 slots for memory cards? What are your thoughts on using multiple memory cards?
I like using multiple memory cards. I don't a lot, but it's something
It's something I get onto all the time.
You get onto me about it a lot. But the reason we do that is, one, depending on whether you're working for yourself or you are working for another studio and they give you memory cards, you either back them up and record those images to a secondary card. That is for safety. That is if one of those two memory cards fail. It also means if you have two camera bodies, you have 4 cards on you. You have double backup. And it's also in the instance, which isn't really from a client's perspective, but if I'm working for another photographer who says, hey, you can use those images later on in your portfolio, I want those images so I can take them home and back them up myself. And then I give the cards they gave me back, and now I still have access to the photos.
Right. So like when you work for me, and so everybody out there knows, I make Jen sign a contract for every single wedding she shoots with me.
Yep. And guess what I did today?
What'd you do?
I made a second photographer contract.
Heck yes. Bitches.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, what that does is it makes sure that there's no questions between us. Like in my contracts, it says how much she's getting paid, what she's getting paid for travel. There's never any question about things, but it also has like my little rules that I have. And one of mine is that Jen uses a secondary card, takes her images home at the end of the day and backs them up on her computer. That way, if something devastating were to happen, if I got in a car wreck and my car landed in the ocean and my memory cards are gone,
You get robbed.
she still has her pictures and can deliver them to the client. If my house burns down with my computer and all my backup hard drives and I haven't uploaded to the cloud yet, Jen has her photos that she can deliver to my client. It's just like this safety thing that I feel very, very, very strongly about. Just
Absolutely.
back it up.
Back it up. Why do we want to show the clients full galleries? Why do they want to ask for that?
Oh, yes. You should definitely ask to see a full gallery from start to finish. Why? Because if you're just looking at their Instagram or their Facebook or even their website, those are highlight reels. Those are the ones that are the best of the best. It's like Pinterest. Like you can't put together a Pinterest board and be like, I want this wedding. I'm sorry, but those are the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. And it's a wedding. It's not a styled photo shoot. You're
Right.
not going to get the best in every single shot. You're going to get what's actually happening on your actual wedding day.
And Pinterest has multiple artists that you're
Right.
compiling, you
Yeah.
know, a
And-
vibe from.
And budgets that are not your budget.
Yeah.
So you should see your photographer's galleries because you want to make sure that their getting ready detail photos are just as good as their portraits and that their reception dancing photos are just as good as their ceremony photos. You want to make sure that they know what they're doing from start to finish because we work with different lighting scenarios. Like you and I shoot the same most of the time, but in a day, we'll use natural light for some things. We will use on-camera flash for some things. We will use off-camera for some things. So by seeing the full gallery, you see the full range of the person's capabilities. You can see that, oh, they're good at natural light. Oh, they're good at flash. Oh, they're good at off-camera flash, that they have a wide range of lenses. You're seeing things. You can see the whole day instead of just the highlight reel.
And if a photographer ever says, oh, I'm a natural light photographer,
It just means they can't use flash.
Run so fast in the opposite direction. Seriously.
Okay, and we're saying that with a laugh because we're still learning.
Right.
If a photographer thinks that they have nothing to learn, that's bull.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons I love working for other people because we learn stuff all the time. Like you and I work for a lot of the same companies that we subcontract out to. So that means we get to work with different videographers, different photographers. And we will learn things all the time from working with other people that it's not like we didn't know it, but we might not be proficient at it.
Yeah, and being proficient is great when you're maybe in a studio setting or you're on a styled shoot and you have time to try something and
Be creative.
Yeah.
Experiment.
Exactly. So on a wedding day, you don't always have that time. So there might be one wedding where, you know, she and I are on and we saw somebody else do something really cool and we're like, oh, let's try that on the next wedding we're on. And then there's 0 time.
Yeah.
So we don't always in the real wedding scenario get to practice that.
Yeah.
And that also, with how busy we are, we don't always get that free time to just play.
Yeah.
So now we're just talking about it, which is great.
Which is fun instead of being out there playing.
Yeah.
But talking about the flash, the off-camera flash, things like constant lighting, it's a good thing to talk about do the people in the wedding party or the guests have like epilepsy or anything like that? It's a good thing for a photographer to ask that on their intake form, is if there's any guests that need accommodations, because I've had weddings where I couldn't use my strobes. I had to use like constant lighting. And me personally, I don't really own constant lighting. I have a couple like LED wands, but I don't have big constant lights. I use strobes or flashes. So I had to actually go out and borrow constant lights from another photographer because I needed that because somebody had epilepsy and I couldn't use what I normally use. So it's good to make sure that your photographers have the equipment that you might need.
Yeah. And that's like asking, someone if they have allergies when you're in a restaurant. You don't know unless you ask. And we also, in a lesser way from the client's point of view, we need to know if there's a chapel or somewhere in a church where we can't use light at all until the family photos.
So what Jen's saying, if you're listening and you don't quite understand, because like in our contracts, we ask if there's any house rules, is what I call it. House rules are certain churches, especially, I find it a lot with Catholics and some Pentecostal churches. They do not allow us to use flash during the ceremony at all. Sometimes they'll let us use it when the couple walks down the aisle and the couple walks back up the aisle. And sometimes they don't let us go past a certain point in the church. All of these things you need to know and talk to your photographer about ahead of time, because if your photographer doesn't have a long zoom lens, they're going to get the back of the church and not be able to get anywhere near you. And they're not going to be able to use flash. So sometimes those churches are dark.
They're dark. It's going to be grainy. It's going to be just, hopefully you like real grainy black and white photos, because that's what you'll get out of that.
So asking your photographer about the equipment that they have and the capabilities that they possess is never a bad thing.
Exactly. I think we can move on from the lighting situation now. So since we're still in the red flag area, why would it be a red flag to ask your photographer why they offer or don't offer a contract for your services that you're being provided, or the rights that you or the photographer has?
Because it will get rid of any questions that might come up later. It might be 4 weeks after your wedding and you're like, where are my photos? It should already be outlined in the contract when to expect things, how often to expect the photographer to be contacting you before the wedding. The photographer should have things in their contract about how you guys treat them. Like, it should go both ways, and you all should be reading your contracts.
Absolutely.
Because I know you guys don't.
People don't read.
I literally have a model release in my contract that says, it's the model release, and it says, if you agree with this, initial here. If you do not agree with this, initial here, because some people don't want their wedding photos online, and I understand. And so I have a provision there for you to be like, no, don't put my photos online. Do you know how many people sign both of those? And I have to ask them, like, you didn't read.
You didn't read. And a model release is just saying, I'm allowed to have my, you're allowed to show my photos anywhere.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So, and I will respect your wishes to not, and that's something to ask too. If you don't want your photos being used in their galleries and on their website, you have every right to say no to that.
Yeah. And on that note, I mean, I've worked with all the people you and I have worked with over the years, there have been several clients that are, celebrities. They might be judges, police officers, high class surgeons. I mean, there's so many reasons you may not want your name or your photos out there.
Right. And it's okay. And that's within your rights. So make sure that is in the contract, because the contract is about your rights as well. Other things to think about is, are you within your rights to edit your own wedding photos?
Not with me.
Even that Instagram filter, it's in my contract. No Instagram filters.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to sue you, but please don't. Please stop.
And don't crop out the watermarks.
Yeah.
It's just rude.
So anyways, read your contracts. And if your photographer has a really crappy contract, you might want to question it. So moving on, what do you think about backup plans? We've already talked about your backups for your camera and your equipment. What about backups when it comes to the image? And I'm going to defer to you because you have an even more strenuous backup plan than I do.
Yes. So just, I get home, I have the process where my memory cards go from my camera to my computer. So they're on the computer, they are on a hard drive, and then I back them up to the cloud. If they are also for another company, it goes to their server.
Right. Yeah, and one of the things that I do too, which I didn't mention this earlier when we were talking about memory cards, after a wedding, we were talking about those 2 memory cards. So if I'm the lead photographer and I have both of them, I will take one memory card out and keep it in a separate little container and leave one memory card in my camera. And I'll take that separate container out and it won't be in my camera bag. So if I were to like stop for gas and somebody were to steal my camera bag with my camera equipment.
And luckily none of that has ever happened.
It's never happened. But you know, the one time that you don't prepare for the worst, it's going to happen. So we just try to make sure we back everything up as much as we possibly can. But thinking about that, like stuff getting stolen, you and I have had so many opportunities to go out and party with the couple after the wedding. We've gotten invited to so many after parties.
Yep.
How many have we gone to?
0.
Yeah. So in 10 years of working together, we have gone to 0. Even when brain surgeons
On my birthday.
Brain surgeons asked us to go to an after party.
My life could look so different right now.
It could be so different. You could be my sugar mama.
Yeah, I'd have like Botox and lip filler, and I'd be like, oh my God, do you want to come to my summer home? Like, what?
We'd just be jet setting across the world
Be
right
ridiculous.
now. Okay, so we wrapped up a lot of red flags, but I do have one more. I want to say that you should definitely check out the photographer if you see them offering a really heavy discount with no explanation. Like you and I know that we will have like summer discounts. So when we are not in peak booking season, we might offer a couple $100s off of our packages just to generate some bookings because, you know, it's a slow season.
Right.
We're in Central Florida. Our summers are the slow season because it's hot. It rains every day. There's hurricanes.
Right.
Nobody wants to be outside.
Nobody.
So you might see us offering discounts in the summer. You might see other vendors offering weekday discounts.
Yes.
Because it's not premium time. So we're not talking about those discounts. We're talking about a photographer who tells you they're going to give you 10 hours for $500.
Right.
Like something's up with that. Like that.
Or
No.
it's not even a value. It's like, I'm offering my services because I need to build my portfolio.
Or it's just a shoot and burn. Like it's like they take the pictures, they don't care about it at all. They give them to you, and what you get is what you get.
Right.
So like that saying goes, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You know, are those people even licensed? Are they insured? Do they have backups?
Right.
You know, like what if they don't show up? I've been called more than once where a photographer bailed a few days before.
Oh, no.
You know, or a week before. And it's like, well, thank God I have that availability.
Right.
Or else where'd they be? No photographer?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you need to vet your vendors, all of them, not just photographers, but since we're zeroing in on photographers, you know, read reviews.
Yeah.
See full galleries. Ask them questions. It's okay to ask questions. So, you know, we want to make sure you have a really good experience and get a really good product at the end.
And one of my favorite sayings was told to me by a photographer I used to work with. Good photography is not cheap, and cheap photography is not good.
Yeah. And yeah, we all start somewhere, but if you want a quality experience, especially on your wedding day.
Yeah, it's not a time to mess around with amateurs.
Like, use an amateur for a family photo or something. You can redo those.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, we're
Your
having
Christmas card?
birthday celebration,
Right.
Santa, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Do mini sessions. Let your cousin practice on you for that. Don't trust them with your wedding photos. Please don't trust your friend with your wedding photos.
Yep.
I mean, unless they're professional, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Like, oh, my friend said they'll do it. No, please don't. Please don't.
Anything that can't be done a second time in that sense.
Yeah.
And I think weddings are top of that list.
Which brings us to another point. What is the difference between a portrait photographer and a wedding photographer? Like, you know, we've talked about the fact that if you just put the word wedding on something, the price goes up exponentially. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
There is an actual reason, and it's not just because we see dollar signs.
Right.
It's because there's so much more liability. We have to carry so much more insurance.
Yep.
We have to pay other people to assist and help.
And they have to be insured, or we have to have the insurance that covers them and all of your guests. And
it's the experience, because weddings are a different beast. So looking at our bullet points, we want people to look for photographers with specific wedding experience. Specific meaning more than one wedding.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Please
make sure they have a variety. And please, if you are a demographic that is having like this luxurious Indian wedding where it's 4 days of celebrations with all these traditions, you don't just want to hire a photographer who can take a pretty picture. You want someone who knows what they're doing.
Right.
You know, like I would tell you, even if they came to me, I would say, here's my suggestions for somebody else.
Yeah.
I'll happily come and work your wedding, but I actually don't want to be lead on it right now because I don't have enough experience on all 4 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've done tons of Indian weddings, but not the whole thing.
The whole thing, yeah.
You know, so I'd rather get way more experience under my belt before I take it on as
Absolutely.
my company.
Yeah. I'm looking at your next bullet point that we have written down, and it's talking about needing to be skilled in various lighting conditions. Mm-hmm. So if you are doing a 4-day Indian wedding, you're not just in one venue with the same lighting that you've shot at 20 times. You're going all over the place. You're in a hotel. It might be small. That might be crazy colored walls at the next venue, and everything changes. So you need to be like quick on the ball of getting everything in order, planning ahead, knowing exactly what you're expecting. If it's something that it's really out of your wheelhouse, drive to that venue on your day off. Go look at it. Go see what the light looks like. Figure out what you might need. Now, have we ever had to do that? Not necessarily. We've gotten by with looking at the venue online, looking up previous photos from other photographers.
Just in Leah's wedding, I went and did it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a normal wedding venue. It was like a German hall that they used for events and whatnot. And I'd never seen it before, so I just wanted to kind of get the layout of the land. And yeah, I did. I went and toured it with them ahead of time.
Yeah. It eases our anxiety.
Yeah, it really does. And then we could even plan ahead and be like, oh, we're going to do photos out here and do it here. And, you know, just a studio photographer might not have that experience or know how or even know to look that stuff up because they're so used to a controlled environment.
Right.
That the weddings you don't know what the weather's going to be like.
Right.
You don't know where the people are going to be or what insane things might happen. And you just have to run at the drop of a hat and figure out how to do stuff like right away.
Like we've done ceremonies that are outdoors and it's under a big tree or it's in some half shade, half sun, and then all of a sudden you get cloud coverage and then it rains and then it's clear again and the sun's behind you, the sun's in front of you.
Yeah,
like those,
we don't have control.
We don't have control. So we are constantly figuring out where the light is and where it looks best.
Right.
And in a studio, people create that light. So they have full total control.
And they have time.
They have time
to set it up.
They literally have time.
And even, so there's wedding photographers, when you're talking the high-end ones, they have whole teams.
Yeah.
They have assistants and scrims and big equipment and whatnot. And while they're with you taking photos, all of their assistants are running around setting up the shot. So it'll only take 5 minutes to get the shot, but they have a whole team doing all the back-end work. So...
And they're, 5-6 figure, or 6 figure.
No, they're
packages.
up there. We're talking like California weddings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so your photographer needs to be skilled with the various different lightings, things that'll come their way, but also the fast-paced environment and the high emotions of that day. How many times have we had things go wrong and we just have to roll with it?
So can I interject my other life experience into this? I have always, since you've known me and long before, have worked part-time in a restaurant. It's something I love to do. It's quick money. It works with my schedule. I can work during the week and make as good of money as I'm doing, like making on weddings on the weekends. I can travel. I could pick up and move anywhere tomorrow and have a job right away.
Colorado, we moving?
Colorado. And like have, that fallback while I'm like building my photography somewhere else. So like it's such a great skill to have, but I'm so passionate about it because it has taught me more than any life situation has.
Oh, like dealing with clients?
Dealing with clients.
Yes.
Learning, maybe not like code switching per se, but like reading the room, learning when to give more, learning when to pull back, learning like just how to respond to different personalities, how to multitask.
Yeah.
I am juggling like how many tables do I have? I have to run food. I have to do this. This table asks for something. Sometimes I have to go seat tables and remember to tell the server. Like there's so many things going around and like all these plates spinning on, like every single finger of your hand.
So imagine if you can't handle that in a wedding and you have a mental breakdown. You can't stop.
You can't stop.
You can't stop. You have to complete that day.
Yeah.
Which leads me to like, I've had studio photographers want to shadow me.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'd love to get into weddings. And I'm like, okay, well, come to a wedding with me and follow.
But first you're like, don't.
Well, no, I want people to try new things and whatnot. No, I had one leave early. We got to the reception and she's like, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
Because she's a studio photographer who's used to setting up her lighting, controlling it, telling the subject what to do.
Yep.
She's in complete control and she could not handle the chaos. She couldn't handle all the random things that happen. And she didn't even finish the day.
And it's so funny because like put you and I in a studio and I'm like, it's too calm. What's happening? Who died?
Yeah. like 5 minutes later, we're like, we're done.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh no,
we got the shot.
I haven't almost cried. I'm not stressed. My blood, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're so used to like, it's like almost a trauma.
We almost like that. we like it.
I don't know how to operate otherwise.
Yeah. We don't know how to be calm.
No. Or just sitting behind a desk. Like even.
Oh, I'd be so bored.
Yeah. So I like running around, even though we like behind the scenes complain about it sometimes. It's great. And I would prefer it.
Yeah.
Over anything else.
But we like, it's not monotonous. Like we know generally what happens at a wedding. So most weddings run almost the same.
Yes.
But every wedding's different.
Every wedding's different.
Every wedding's different. The people are different. So many things run differently. Which also brings me to another thought. And I'm taking this from the vendor table because they were speaking about this.
I love the vendor table.
I love them so much. Oh. But they were talking about how there's a difference between like photojournalistic photography and wedding. There's different types. So you might think you like candid photos. But how many times have I said I want to create a gallery called "This is why we call our photos"? Because
absolutely.
How many triple chins, underwear from people getting low, and I have to keep an eye out for that, and I have to cut these photos out.
Right.
So it could be a gorgeous photo of the bride, but her cousin might be behind her making a horrible face.
Right.
I'm not going to let that photo slide.
No. Unless you can crop it out. Obviously, we'll try our best to do that.
Get rid of it, but. You might think you like candids, but most of that stuff is like a staged candid. So it's not a portrait like Olin Mills photos, and it's not photojournalistic. It's not a full candid. So what we do is we kind of like set up the scene and then let the natural emotions take over.
Right.
So we kind of clean up the room, position the people, and then kind of give them a task to do, or we like a prompt. So it's like this mixture. So you need somebody who knows how to do all of them, not just one.
Right.
So wedding photographers, generally, we know how to do all of it.
Well, and if I can just kind of piggyback off of that, I feel like there's two different kinds of candids. There's the ones you just talked about, but there's like the true candids.
Some of them are amazing.
Someone crying. Yes. Well, not just the groom or whoever at the aisle, but like a guest watching the wedding from their seat, like reacting to.
Which you've taught me that. I used to never take photos of the guests at the ceremony. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then I started seeing your candids of people laughing and crying and I was like, oh,
yeah.
I like this.
And those are like the real sense of candid. They don't know that it's happening. Hopefully I'm not visible to them.
Right.
And it's a real moment. And also during reception, if people are, dancing or hanging out or anything like that. But yeah, I think I would say there's two different kinds. So know what type of candid portraiture you're asking for.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you say straight photojournalistic, you're just getting what happens.
No one will direct you.
Nobody's going to direct you.
Yep.
Nobody's going to give you family formals because that's not happening.
Right.
There's going to be beer cans in the background because nobody thought to move them in your formal photos. Like you have to have a mix. So there's a difference between just a portrait photographer or just a photojournalistic photographer and a wedding photographer. So make sure you know what you're signing up for.
Exactly.
Which then leads to just like why we charge more. We know the nuances that go on in a wedding. We know how to run a timeline. We know how to work with other vendors. We know why to stay to a timeline too. Because it drives me insane when I hear photographers say, well, no, this is my time and I have to get my shots.
Right.
So what, you're going to get your shots and then the catering's going to go cold? and you're going to tick off that whole vendor category,
Right.
they're not going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
Church weddings. I have to ask with the family formals, how many family formals do you have? And how late do we have the church? Because they might have a mass afterwards. They might have a quinceañera coming in. We have to be out of that church by a certain time.
Yeah.
And some of them, if you're not out by a certain time, they charge the couple extra.
Oh, yeah.
So we know how the world works with weddings. So yeah, we might charge more than your aunt or your cousin or your friend who owns a studio.
Right.
But we have so much more experience with weddings and wedding vendors.
Yeah, and I make it a point now every time I have a client call, whether it's my own client or for another company, I always say, I'm not saying this to be rude, but I did this 50 times last year and you haven't done it yet. Now you may be a guest, you've been to a wedding, you've gone to a handful of them. You still don't know the process of everything that happens before that ceremony.
Yeah.
Where the timeline starts hours before that. So it is very important to have that experience and trust your photographer. Like listen to them when you're talking to them and ask them how your day is going to go and see if they, give you something that seems realistic or they're promising you everything, because you're not going to get everything.
Yeah, which the realistic expectations.
Yes,
that's where that comes from.
That is why we are talking right now.
Yes, it really is, because we tell couples how it is.
Yeah.
They will want it. I've literally said the words, that is not physically possible.
Yeah.
Because they see Pinterest and they're just like, oh, I want this, 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 and this. Then we're going to stop and we're going to make all these reels for TikTok or, and I'm like, where do you think you're going to find time to do all of that?
Right.
And we know how many things can go wrong.
Yep.
They're also not thinking about the zipper could break and we have to sew you into the dress.
Yeah. Or the bridesmaid could just straight cut it off because your sleeves are stuck inside.
Check for the sleeves.
Yep.
You did bring up how we work for other companies. So Jen and I work for a lot of different companies. We work for each other. We work for ourselves. We own our own companies and all of that stuff. So one of the things I did want to talk about was the difference between hiring the owner of a photography company, a local photography studio, and a nationwide company. What are the differences, and what do you need to look for when you're booking these different types of people? What can you expect? What are the pros and cons, pretty much?
Well, I would like to actually define what each of these things mean before we get into the meat of it, because I would say someone who's not in our everyday wedding experience, they might think hiring the owner is the same as hiring the studio. So I'm an owner because I own Jen Ross Photography, but it's just me. So if I come out and you hire the owner, that's it. I'm not a studio.
Right.
I'm not a national company. So it's just me.
And I put that on my website.
Yeah.
My opening thing is I'm the one responding to the texts.
Yep.
I'm the one responding to the emails. I'm the one responding to you on social media. It is me all the way.
It's
I'm the one editing your photos. I'm the one doing the phone calls. I'm the one doing the paperwork.
Yep.
I'm there from start to finish, all the way through. It's me.
Yeah.
Because I own my own company and it's just me. And then I subcontract you to come and be my second photographer.
Exactly.
And the reason that I like working with you so much too is because I feel like people are getting two lead photographers.
And not everyone gets that.
Right. You carry so much responsibility and I can trust you. And I feel like you can read my thoughts before I have them, that I'm not worried and I'm not I still check. I still did you get that? But that's just my own mental list.
Did you get this? I'm like, yes. Did you get that? Yes. Yeah.
I know.
No,
I know.
it's good to do it.
It's just me checking off everything and being like, cool.
Yeah.
I know you got it, but I just have to do it anyways. But
or I do this all the time. You always squat down for the first kiss photo. And I see you're whether you're tight or wide.
I squat all the time.
She squats all the time.
I'm a squatter.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so if she's down on her knees and she's got the long lens on, then I'm like, okay, I go wide. If we both are shooting telephoto and I see you go vertical, I instantly go landscape. And I'm always looking out one side of the camera to see kind of what are you shooting? Even if it's the same lens and I don't want to swap because I just prefer that at that moment.
Right.
At least while you're getting one angle, I'm getting the other.
You're getting a different angle. Yeah.
And it's not even an angle. It's the same angle, just a different orientation.
And half the time, I don't even have to tell you because you just do it.
And that's so important because now right there, you have that same shot in two different orientations. So if someone's picking out photos for their social media or for their wedding album, you have all those options.
And I love it too because I've actually introduced you to my couples months ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because I will book you right away. So there's photographers out there that'll wait till the month before the wedding to book the second photographer. And I don't understand this concept because I want to know that it's somebody I trust.
Yeah.
And not just somebody I picked up off the street or Facebook second photographer group. Not knocking those who do.
Yeah.
But me as a company.
We find work that way sometimes.
I do. I find work that, I will second shoot your wedding. But me, I feel more comfortable knowing that it's somebody that I trust, and I will tell my couples, I'm like, oh my God, you have Jen. I've worked with Jen this long. You're going to love her. She's amazing. Sometimes you've met them ahead of time. So knowing who you're getting as your photographer and knowing who you're getting as your second photographer is, and I'm going to sit here and assume you're going to get a second photographer because if you're smart,
you will.
You will. Even, your second photographer is an insurance plan in itself. Remember, backups on backups on backups.
Backups on backups.
You know, like if I broke my leg and I was the only photographer, what would happen?
Or what if any one of us had like an onset medical condition and like you faint or you end up in the hospital?
Right.
Like,
and
who
if
knows?
I'm the only person there?
It's good to have a backup.
It's so good to have a backup.
Yep. So I think we were moving on to like the studio, which we're trying to just explain what everything is. And like a studio is going to be an owner who has come up with a name that probably isn't their first last name with the word photography at the end. It's going to be something studios. It's going to be whatever you want to, think up in your mind, be creative.
I'll call out Friends. There's like Dreamscape.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It's more of a name than it is, which, I mean, they're a husband and wife team, but I've worked for them.
Yeah.
I'm associate shot for them.
Right.
So when it's more of a studio, you might be hiring the owner. You might be hiring an associate shooter. Knowing that ahead of time.
Yes. Especially, let's also say if the person's first and last name is in the studio name.
Which we have worked for a studio
and then
that
they
has
send
their name
out me, and that couple
can be confusing.
Goes, you're not blank, blank, blank. And then it's this whole, if they're not told that beforehand, I mean, that's on the company, honestly.
That's on the company, but
you have to know that, like,
and it's okay to ask.
And you have to explain, because a lot of studios, even if they're name branded or not, will have associate pricing. So you should intuitively know right then you're not getting your top tier, but they also shouldn't be so different that associate photographer is delivering a different style. Because within the studio, you should expect to see the same style.
Right.
Generally.
Yes. But some of them are like more bigger companies. They could be a franchise for a national company. So a franchise means that it is still a local small company, but it is a bigger corporation as the home company. So we also work for one of those.
Yes.
And they have several people on their roster, and you can actually look through the different people's portfolios. So you can find the photographer that you vibe with the best out of the selection that they have.
Right. This photographer is dark and moody. This photographer is light and airy. They will offer editing that way and things like that, because with that big franchise, we shoot and deliver. We just send them the images.
We just send them in.
We don't touch them afterwards.
Right.
So
and I'll send in notes. I'll be like, the client would like this, which they ask the client ahead of time, but I always try to double check.
Right. Like, can you Photoshop out this tattoo I don't like? Or I have a scar here. Can you get rid of it? Or
so
something.
I'll send in notes and then they'll edit. And like the one I work for, I really like because I get to see the gallery when it's complete.
Because you and I have fought for that.
I will fight for it, because don't you mess my photos up.
I want to see what my work looks like.
What you did. And if it's wrong, they know me at home office. They know me at the corporate headquarters, because I will write them.
She well known.
I will be like, why are my people blue? They do not look blue in real life. Please change the colors.
Yeah. We need to Photoshop coffins around these people.
Right? Who delivers blue people? So
it's not Avatar, y'all.
They know me at the home office.
I know.
But yeah, so you're different between your like local studio is they're going to try to keep all the editing the same. Generally.
Generally.
We're speaking on general terms. We're just trying to like really define it. And then there is the franchises. And then there's just the nationwide companies. When you call that number, you are calling Ohio or someplace, even if you're in Central Florida, because it is a hub somewhere. And these people that I work for, I've never even met them.
And that can change a lot of things too with, you know, if it's spread out a lot, there's like less communication, there's less of like a family vibe. I mean, I'm not saying like every company is like you and I hanging out, starting a podcast together, like, you know, or going go-karting and things like that. But like there are like, you can't have that disconnect.
Right. Our smaller studios that we work for and the franchise that we work for, we are like a family.
Yeah. We go out to dinner together.
We
go
to
kinds of events. Like,
I love it. And they know us, we know them, and we can vouch for each other. These nationwide companies, another thing is I don't even talk to the couple until like a week before their wedding.
We're not going to show up on the wedding day and do less than we would for any other reason.
Right.
But it is so hard to come in with no connection. Like you're walking into like the bridal suite and you're like, "Oh, hi, I'm Daniela. Nice to meet you." Yeah. It's so awkward.
I don't even talk to them on the phone.
Right.
We
don't even know what they look like.
No, I don't even send an email.
Yeah.
The nationwide company that I currently work for, because we've worked for a bunch and I've quit a bunch. The one I work for currently, they just send me an email with the timeline and that's it. I don't contact the couple at all.
Right. Yeah, they don't even want us to.
They don't want us to. They want them to go through home office. The only time, like I have one coming up currently and she texts me, and the only reason she texts me is because I did an engagement session. So she already had my phone number because we had to connect for that. And so it's nice because she can ask me questions about her timeline.
Yeah.
I love having that connection. So the franchise I talked to people about a month before the wedding. The studio about a month. We're working on changing that so that we are in connection a lot sooner. And it's more if you have an engagement session, which always have an engagement session.
Yep.
Always.
I just booked a wedding for June of 2026.
Nice.
You are already my second photographer.
When are we doing their engagement session?
May 25th.
Oh, yeah, really? They're doing it right away?
They're doing it right away, yeah, because they want to use the photos for Save the Dates.
Perfect.
Which I also said that's great for Save the Dates, obviously. But you can use those photos on your gift card table or just like on your welcome sign. Like there's so many different ways you could use these photos. All right, so I would say we've wrapped up like the differences between, you know, the avenue in which you get your photographer. But the next thing would be the questions to ask your photo and your video team if both apply. So I would say you want to start with how many team members are there?
Right.
Do you have 2 video, 1 photo? Do you have 2 photo, 2 video, and
do
an
they have assistants? Because you need to know how many meals to book too.
Yeah, absolutely. Vendor meals will be, you know, needed for that for sure. That also means the more cameras you have on you means the more angles. So I love the 2-2 method if there's photo and video because each of your respective parts have 2 angles simultaneously.
Yes.
So like I mentioned earlier, if Daniela's low and she's shooting tight and vertical, I'm shooting tight and horizontal, or I go wide, or someone's reading their vows and you're on one side of the ceremony space shooting at that angle and I'm photographing from the other side, getting the other person's reaction. So you're getting someone reading the vows and the other person reacting to those vows being read.
And same with video. You can ask them how many cameras because especially for ceremony. Ceremony to me is the most important when it comes to how many angles because they will have multiple tripods set up that are normally just like static shots. And then the actual videographers will have...
They'll roam
and they'll have it like on a gimbal or they're handheld and they'll be moving around. So you'll have some action-y, motion-y shots, but then you'll also have like safety shots. Right. And you'll have ones in the back that are zoomed in tight on the faces. And honestly, the more cameras, the better.
Seriously.
The more people, the better. Yeah. The more cameras. I realize not everybody can afford it, but there's generally a way that you can figure out how to afford it. I mean, if you can get a new iPhone every couple of years.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You'll find a way.
And for that too, it goes back to asking your photographer or your videographer what type of gear they have. Because if they only have a wide angle, they are going to be up your nose for your first kiss. They might walk in front of the front row, which is your grandma, your grandpa, your mom, your dad, whomever is there that's seeing this and up close, and they're walking in front of you because they only have this one lens that gets this one angle, and for them to get close, they have to physically move closer.
Yeah.
So is your photographer physically going to be in the way because of their equipment? Or is your videographer going to know what they're doing and they're going to put their tripod all the way in the back of the aisle so it's not blocking your guest view? We're not putting cameras right in front of somebody that's just sitting there on a tripod and not moving the whole time, and they're looking around. So there's a lot of things to think about.
I have had a videographer do that. I got no wide shots of the entire ceremony, and I had to ask the guests to stay seated and made them go back up to the front so that I could get one wide shot. Because I couldn't, because he was up in their faces the entire time.
Right.
Like blocking the parents' view of their children. Like, what?
That's the craziest part.
What? I was so angry, and I was working for a nationwide company, and I called them and I said, never put that videographer with me again, or I will quit.
There is a blacklist.
So yeah, it's okay to ask. It's okay to ask how they work, how they stand, how many tripods they have, how many roaming cameras. Ask the questions. It's okay.
Well, and back when you and I first met, you know, the first time I started like assisting weddings, I wasn't even like assisting with a camera. Like I was just there, hands-free, maybe holding a light. And I learned, do not ever walk in front of that first row of seats.
Right.
If you can avoid it.
If you can avoid it.
There are situations where we have to be up there for the handoff.
Yeah. Oh, I hate it.
And then you have to walk in front of them to get back down the aisle.
My most hated moment of the wedding is the fact that I have to stand up in the front, and sometimes I block the one partner's view because I step out into the middle to get the other partner coming down the aisle, and I'm trying my hardest not to, but sometimes they don't give us enough room.
Yeah, but when you're like in a football field sized, you know, ceremony space,
there's so much room.
You're not walking in front of grandma.
You're not blocking anybody's shots. But sometimes I know I'm in the way, and it kills me. It kills me.
But we're aware enough not to park there.
Right.
We get our shots and we move on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely okay to ask these things. It's okay to ask about how you handle low light. It's okay to ask your video team, do they have lights? You know, if it gets dark, do they have LED lights? Do they have continuous lights? Does that light need to be plugged in? I've seen videographers with still the plug-in lights. Yeah. It's okay to ask these questions just to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that everybody has the accommodations that they need.
And if your ceremony's in the middle of a golf course, there's no power there.
Yeah. Right?
So you better have your batteries.
Yeah.
We bring extra batteries with us when we're that far away from our gear.
We bring so much gear.
And also as the sun setting during your ceremony, is there enough natural light for your video to handle it? But by the time your first kiss happens, it's completely dark.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring lights.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean,
we gotta be aware of time.
The ISO can go up. I know you can make it work, but
we don't want to have to.
We don't want to have to do that. I think to wrap this section up, I just want to say one more thing. Is it's okay to ask your photographer or video team, what is your backup plan if you can't make it?
Oh, like to the wedding at all.
Right. Like
someone's in the hospital. I have to be there. Right. It's life or death. Like
what happens? I had to call out of one wedding because like when you book over a year in advance, I got pregnant and I knew that it was way too close to my due date. And I was like, I don't want to get all the way to that due date and then not be able to make it. Right. So ahead of time, I preemptively was like, I'm going to lovingly release you and give you to this person who will take excellent care of you. And that's so
responsible. Yeah.
Right. So I've had to do that one time. Just knowing if you have a studio, do they have enough people to be back up on the day of your wedding? If it's a national company, you know, national companies, that's the pro of a national company is the fact that they have unlimited resource. Not really, but they have so many that they can send in. Me, if something happens to me, I'm SOL.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're just the owner and that's us. I mean,
it's riskier.
Yeah, it's riskier.
So there are pros and cons to each of these. We are not knocking studios. We're not knocking national companies. We're not knocking franchises. They each have amazing things that they offer. But we just want people to know that there is a difference and what to look for and to know what you're getting into.
Yep.
So that wraps that part up. We have one more thing to talk about before we wrap the whole episode up.
Yes.
And I don't want to sound negative, but awards don't always mean what you think they mean. Some of them are pay to play.
A lot of that stuff is not what you think it is.
It's not what you think it is. And it'll be based on things like, oh, they got 10 reviews this year. They're best of. No, they're not. They got 10 reviews and they pay you $700 a month.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of photographers out there who will pay big review companies to, you know, put you up at the top.
Yeah.
And as soon as you search them within that website. So yeah, they're not at the top because they're the best. They're at the top because they have the most money. So you need to ask your photographer where their real reviews are. Like Google. What, does Facebook do reviews anymore?
I don't know. They're still there, but they're kind of like dangling.
Yeah. So other than Google, what do we have?
There's Yelp.
Yelp.
Some people might be BBB accredited, but I feel like that's like the old people place to go.
Yeah. I think
Google
these
is
youngins know what that is.
I think Google's the main one. Google's going to take over the world, you know, so get on that train while we can.
Oh yeah, we're trying.
But you're looking for quality. You're looking for consistency. You're looking for so many other things besides, I'm the best of 2025. Another thing I would say to look for is, what organizations are they part of? Are they part of things in their area? Are they part of photography guilds? Are they part of like the PPA?
Right.
I'm part of PPA, which is Professional Photographers of America. I'm part of FPP, which is Florida Professional Photographers.
Oh yeah, I skipped that one.
I'm part of
PPCF.
PPCF. There's so many letters. Which is the Professional Photographers of Central Florida.
Which, pause, that's not the alphabet I was talking about. That's the like true. Jen Ross, comma, like A, B, C, D, E, F, because I got a, you know, bachelor's in something, 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 and like a bunch of it doesn't make sense to photography anymore, or what degrees you have or anything like that. So
which you can be a certified photographer, but again, you're paying to take a test for them to be like, good job, now you're certified.
But acronyms for clubs that we're a part of is not the same.
Right. So look and see how they're involved. Look and see how they're involved even in their own community. Where do they give back? So you work with a lot of animal shelters. You give back that way.
And you work with a lot of homeless shelters.
Yeah, I work with homeless shelters. And I'm also getting certified to work with disabled adults and disabled children. And yes,
That's
again,
amazing.
it is something I paid for to take a test, to get certified. But I did it out of wanting to make sure that I was doing my best to accommodate every single person that I possibly can. Right, which means I need to learn about it. If I don't know it off the top of my head, I want to have resources available to me.
Right.
To be able to learn about that. So look and see what your photographer is doing.
Right.
What are they learning? What are they continuing to try to do? Not just, I showed up first in Google rankings.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know? Find out more about who you're hiring.
Right. Do your research. Research the credibility of the awards that they say that they have.
Yeah.
Their relationships with their vendors, like you mentioned. A lot of the vendors you may not know, but they might be some of the best. If you just talk to other vendors or like,
oh yeah, find out what their preferred vendor list is.
Yeah, talk to the venue if you've booked, and they might, you know.
I have a preferred vendor list. Nobody hardly ever asks me, well, who's your favorite? But I have a list prepared.
Yeah.
Because these are people that I know I can trust. I know they provide a quality experience. Yeah. I know that they're good people because I've worked with them.
Right.
So yeah, vet your people, because guess what? Like photographers, we're going to be in your face all day.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you get along with us. You want to make sure we're good people. And that's one of the reasons we're going to talk about it in the future, but have an engagement session with your photographer, because if you don't vibe on that session, you really want that person in your face 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours that day? No.
Yeah.
So yeah, the awards and being at the top of a list does not mean what you think it means. So.
Number one is not always number one.
Yeah, exactly. That pretty much wraps it up. Jen, where can we find you online?
Oh man, you can find me. Most of my handles and things are Jen Ross. It's Jen with 2 N's, Ross like Bob Ross, photography. So jenrossphotography.com, at Jen Ross Photography, at Jen Ross Photo, all that good stuff. What about you?
I am Daniela Kuntz, so Kuntz like Dean Kuntz.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Koontz. You can find me. Everything is Kuntz Photography. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok even. I'm not on there all the time, but...
Except when she goes viral.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. That wasn't TikTok. That was Instagram.
Oh, crap.
But yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere, and I will be the one replying to all my messages because it's just a one-woman show over here.
Same.
Yeah, so, and then you can find Offbeat on Point on all sorts of things. We're on Instagram. I think I started a Facebook group. I'm working on that. We have a Discord.
I'm in it, so I hope it's...
We have a Discord
it's
server.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah, so find us on all the things. Friend us, talk to us, and ask us any questions because questions are not stupid.
Anyway.
Oh my God. Good night, guys.
Okay,
Stay
good
cool.
night.
Find us on all the things.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.